So it's a pleasure once again to be here. This is the second year for this event that Rafael is bringing to Brazil. I think it's a great initiative. It's a good thing to take a break and talk about security because this is a very trendy topic nowadays. There's a lot of hype around it, the privacy, GDPR around this. We've been seeing some threats that are complex, advanced, groups that are ready to attack. So I'm Rafael Salema Marques. As Rafael mentioned, I work for the Air Force in the Cyber Intelligence Division for the Brazilian Air Force. So to get started here today, so just a quick parallel comment here with cyber security. That's what we've been doing. People just taking off their helmets and trying to get space out. So our talk today starts with statistics from Norton, which says that 51% of attacks, of cyber attacks, are led by malware. So everything I'm going to talk about today has everything to do with malware. People who know me know that I'm an enthusiast. I'm a malware enthusiast. I've always liked it. And malware needs a communication channel between the attacker with the malware. It needs to filter information and infiltrate information. So this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to show you some ways for command and control channels, which is the communication channel with malware. So my goal here today is to demonstrate some techniques and the MO to create command and control channels and how to mitigate this. So this is just a quick blueprint to guide our presentation. I'm going to introduce myself, talk about some of the interesting points of my research, the motivation for this presentation, talk a little bit about cyber kill chain. So I'm just going to give a quick overview. I'm going to show you some case studies. Some of them are mine, some of them are other people's, but they're all public, they're all on the internet, and how we can detect this. So with a quick introduction, as I mentioned, I'm a malware enthusiast. I've been working with this for a long time with Red Team. We produce artifacts with to support Red Team. So I have contact with the academic teams, but this is something, I'm not a publisher, but I'm very proud of these publishings. And in my opinion, this is like the most interesting publication. I did some persistence in the past, but this was a very interesting experience. If you want to check 29A, there are several things that are still working to this day. So as I said, my research is about multi-agent systems to identify rootkit activity. So if you're interested or if you're researching anything about this, let me know and we can exchange some ideas about it. I think it can always be helpful. Training for our reverse engineering people. Some people have trained with me, and the OSX or concept proof that I did in 2015. So this generated some hype, and it was interesting because 3 months later we saw a trend. We saw the rise of ransomwares, and there was no Mac, and I thought it was interesting for us to break down the myth of that there's no malware for Mac. That's a lie. No malware for Linux. That's another lie. So watch out. Be careful for these lies. And today we're going to talk, we're going to demystify some other lies. The motivation behind our presentation is this. First of all, first lie that I want to demystify here is that there is no automated solution that is mature enough to counterpoint sophisticated threats. This is really difficult. So this is binary. There's no if I'm attacked or if I'm hacked. It's just when. And this has been mentioned over and over during this event. So you will be attacked one day. We just need to know how to handle it. How are you going to handle it? How did you put up your defenses? It will depend on the levels of the level of quality of your attacker. How good is he technically? This will influence the outcome, and you need to realize and detect all this. Your team needs to be able to detect it. Otherwise, you're just going to take off your helmet and try to get space out. So this is my personal perception, okay? There's no silver bullet for this. There simply is no silver bullet. This is the only one. This silver bullet will only be useful if you're being attacked by a werewolf. So just watch out. If there is a solution that promises to solve all your security issues, just be suspicious. Usually, that is not true. Another statistics from Mandiant, this great report from 2018, referring to 2017 data. So the average attacker in an organization until they are detected is about 99 days. Approximately 3 months. The attacker will be inside your network without you even realizing it. I don't know where this information came from, but depending on the scenario, it can be more or less. Or it can be worse or better. But on average, according to Mandiant, it's 99 days. And if you look at the graph here, it's getting worse. Or, no, sorry, it's getting better. It's improving. It used to be 415 days in a recent past. It went on to 146.99. It's kind of stable at 101 this year. And you can see that it's more or less a curve that it tends to stabilize. But can we exfiltrate in 3 months? Just a little bit, right? This is an example. We were discussing over there. We were working this week, and we were exfiltrating 11 gigs per day. And nobody noticed anything in the network. So we need to be able to perceive this change in traffic, the change in patterns in the network. 11 gigs is a lot. And I'm not talking about networks for small companies or this is a large organization. But we need to be fair. It's a lot easier to be a stone than being in a glass window. It's much easier to attack than to defend. The attacker always has some surprise element in his favor. They only need an entryway. You can protect several things around it, and there's one new vulnerability and you're not ready to identify it, they're just going to go in. And there they are, they're in. And if everything goes wrong, this guy is going to use social engineering with your employees, like Ricardo talked about this. This boss's secretary, they want to attack the boss. They know that the boss likes wine, so they're going to create a malicious email, send it to the secretary. She's going to click on it. There. She just lost. And the secretary can send a lot of sensitive information about her, so she can be an even bigger target than the boss. Sometimes she can filter stuff that the boss doesn't know about. So this is our motivation behind the presentation today. And going on a little bit about cyber kill chain, where does this come from? It kills from kill chain. Kill chain is a military term, a military concept. And it's a term that originates to define the phases of a military attack. So this is what happens. Lockheed created cyber kill chain. And what is this? It's an adaptation of kill chain for the cyber scenario. And there are different stages for this attack, right? So these phases are taught in security classes, security schools, with some differences. Sometimes, for example, the SAMS guys have a little bit something a little bit different from OPSEC, but in general terms, it doesn't really change very much. There's recognition, there's exploration, but our focus here today is command and control. This is the command and control channel, which is to infiltrate and exfiltrate information, to be able to control malware remotely. I didn't check my time. What time do I need to be done here, just for timekeeping sake? All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about case studies, show you some case studies of the things that might be happening in your own company, and you might not be seeing it. Like John said, there are 3 types of network. One that is being attacked, but it doesn't realize it, or the attack was perceived, or I can't remember the third one. Can somebody help? The one that is going to be attacked. So it's one less, it's more of a warning. The POCs, proofs of concepts, are weaponized, as I'm going to show you. There are no malicious intent, but the idea is this, just the proof of concept. And the public ones are ready to be used. So in some cases, due to timekeeping, we can't show everything, but we can illustrate, and you can continue the research. But we're going to show you comments and websites or web applications, certain cell phone applications. The example I'm going to show you is from a company that compares prices, which is kind of interesting, and you can comment and review these promotions and the prices. The command and control channel of malware will be in the comments. The attacker will write a comment, and malware keeps checking those comments. Web applications, email, I don't know if you know, but we can have a command control channel on Gmail, for example. Who's blocking Gmail at your company? Who's tough enough? Who's man enough to block Gmail? You have to use it. You have to block it. I don't know. It depends on the case studies. Dropbox. We can do that one on Dropbox too. I'm going to show you a case. Shadow IT is dangerous. Shadow IT is the third-party infrastructure that is collecting information from you at the minimum. At the minimum. I'll also show you a proof of concept for DNS where we're not breaking protocol. We're not breaking DNS protocol, and this is important to become stealth. If we destroyed protocols, I'll show you the mitigation. If we don't follow the protocol standard, it's easy to catch. The information would then be in the octet, on the IP octet. Certifications, HTTPS, for example. We can have command and control just changing the certificate keys. And this is public, and it's been public for a while. And blockchain, which I see as a problem. Probably somebody who's already using it, but what is the difficulty with blockchain? Can somebody help me in terms of malware? Can help me out? Who can help me out? That's right. If you write it in blockchain, how do you take it? How do you take it down on the website? It won't. It's going to be there forever. So blockchain has several very cool applications, like Bruno showed us, right? For for the greater good, for good purposes, but there's also evil purposes for it. So the comments on websites, what are the advantages here? Cost zero of infrastructure. You don't need to worry about that. You're going to use somebody else's infrastructure maliciously, and you can hide other real information. For example, in your large company, how many people are using Dropbox? Many. How many are using Gmail? Many of them. So in one of these Gmail traffics, you'll find some emails that will be kind of hidden, and it's really difficult to catch. That's why we need to reduce the attack surface. And usually we use a legitimate service. For example, we could use G1 or Facebook or several other services. Any service that uses comments in this specific case. So that's basically the idea. This is this screen. I don't have the name of the service here, but I went to the internet to look for service HTTP with comments. This was the first one I found. I just use it as an example. So you have this price comparison here to explore the app. So how does this work? First, you have the infection phase. We're not going to go into that right now. It's going to infect many machines. These machines will wait for a comment, for a specific comment. Then we'll define that. The malware creator will define which comment is going to trigger tasks from the malware. Then the malware will check this routinely. If it finds what it's looking for, the task will be executed. In this case, the reverse TCP. So this is a piece of the code, a part of the code. So we have two commands here, as you can see. In line 69, for example, if in the comments they find 2 exclamation points and 2 periods, something needs to happen. The other line, in line 72, if they find any of these terms, a general comment, with 2 exclamation points and 1 exclamation after a specific term, there's another task that's going to be executed. So the attacker has many different possibilities here. There's no limit. So I'll show you a quick video. We don't have internet connection, and I didn't want to take any chances.
So the malware on the left side of the screen, it will number the ads first. So it's listing the ads. So you see the chair on the top. So I hit the domain. I don't want to expose anyone. So that's the Visa chair. This is this ad. So the attacker makes a comment. Nice, great, thanks, or something like that. So you see that there is a comment. That's the comment. So if the machine is infected with a malware and it checks again, as it's not a functional malware, it will check. Well, okay, show de bola valeu, or nice. So it sends me to this place. So then you can control the machine, the user's machine. So as already mentioned, it's difficult to block shadow IT, but we need to mitigate. If we cannot block, we have to at least mitigate. There should be a way to control shadow IT. Example, DBC2 is Dropbox C2. That's online. I didn't do it. It was Arnox. It is in the GitHub. And it's a very effective C2. It has a little bit of latency. Dropbox, it checks for changes in files every now and then. And it takes each command to be executed. Each command is executed in the checking. That's how it works. It uses the Dropbox API, and in an infected machine, it will connect HTTPS, the standard Dropbox. There will be some encrypted files to Dropbox, and the client machine will check. So you can infiltrate and exfiltrate as well. You can do everything in the machine with this kind of C2. So that's a video, and in the website there is an institutional video. I got a little bit of it. So it is preparing C2. It creates two encrypted files on Dropbox. So these two encrypted files. And these are control files. They're used for control. The request time is random. There is a random percentage, and this is to make it more difficult to be detected. To attackers, they try to run away from patterns, and so the threat hunt is based on patterns. So it's activating the agent. It's in the machine, so it's IP config, and you can see that it's going to be able to send commands to the machine, and next it will open the calculator. This is an execution control command in the infected machine, calc. So the disadvantage is that it takes a bit long, but it's okay. C2 Gmail is very similar. It's also on GitHub, but instead of using Dropbox, it uses Gmail to exfilter the information. There was a version, it didn't create the email, just a draft. A draft was created, so no one saved. It was not saved on the email server, so there was no file there. DNS, I'm going to show it to you. This is my code. The idea well, it works the following way. It will, let me show you how it works. So in this case, it needs its own structure. You need to have a server that will give the malicious response. They're not malicious response, but convenient ones that they are not. DNS is used when you do a DNS request, and the IP that responds to the host. The response IP, IPv4 will have 4 octets, so 255 responses for each octet. So for example, I can say that 200 corresponds to reverse TCP, 201 to archive, to file list. So there are many possibilities inside an IP. And it's not going to break. Using this methodology, it doesn't break protocols, DNS protocols. We'll see that there are some cases that it breaks the protocol and then it's easy to get. What is the advantage of DNS? It goes through. It's very difficult for a network to block DNS, so we can filter it easily. If we use low frequency without escaping the protocol, using coherent responses to what we expect, randomized responses, and randomized domain, it's very difficult to get it. You have to have a high awareness. So like I said, the information is in the octet. So that's the code. I'll compile it. That's C2. Let's check C2 that is running here. So it's listening the reverse TCP. So I'll run the code, execute the code. I think it's already running. Yeah. Let me just check if the IP has not changed. The IP changed. It would never work. When we go live, there's always a problem. 33. Okay. So let's run it. When I run, it tells me that there is this new like sun. So what is it doing? The last octet, it's the time for the next request. So if we get the exit from the slip, it's going to be milliseconds, and that's going to be the next request. Sometimes it takes a bit long. And there can be an option for a reverse TCP. As it's not completely implemented, so we can see Python. Let me run it again, otherwise we'll be waiting because it's taking too long in between requests. So otherwise it will take too long for the reverse. Let's, keep our fingers crossed because there's a high chance for it not to work. So let's run it. Okay. Nope. It's gonna work. Let's keep the faith. I know what I did wrong. Sorry, guys. Now it's gonna work. Well, everybody had their problems, right? I should have changed this to 133 because 1 corresponds to C2, the other TCP reverse. There could be different machines. In this case, it's a local network, it's the same machine, okay? Now it's gonna work. Okay. Okay. So TCP reverse is there. I'm still nervous, but thank God it worked. So, that's how DNS works. Like I said, there will be the infection, and then there is the malicious server that will respond according to its interest because Bootmaster has interests, and the machines will make the request and receive the instruction, and then they can do whatever they want. This is a reverse, in this case, the reverse TCP. It's certified 509. So this technique is quite new, but not that new. HTTPS can be used. This key change, we can exfiltrate files using key change. And this paper has Git implementation. It shows how it's done. It's going to be on the metadata from the certificate. You can change the metadata. So each key turn, the metadata changes, and so it sends information to the outside. And this will generate noise in the network. Many key turns on the same website at the same time. Is this something we see all the time? We have to keep to pay attention to the pattern or to the standard. We still use things from the past because it's still expensive, computationally speaking, to use other techniques, but we have to think about patterns or standards. Blockchain is not an implementation, it's an alert, a prediction. We saw a presentation by Bruno that was very nice, but there are bad people in the world and they will use it. In blockchain, when you do a transaction using Bitcoin, there is a transaction called up return. And the person that did the transaction can put 40 bytes inside. And for command control, that's a lot. So you can do a war with 40 bytes. So my fear when I think about blockchain and malware is that the takedown is not going to be on the server. Usually people take down command and control of a malware, and it's a server, it's a failure point. There are mitigations in the dark side for that. So what they usually do is kill command and control. In this case, you cannot do that. You're going to kill each malware, and that's more difficult. And the command is going to be on the blockchain forever. So if you want to see Vasco, which is a team, as the vice, ranked second in the championship, it's going to be there, or any other jokes, it can be there forever. Anyway, this is an example of a transaction, and the person wrote, "Those dinosaurs sure are clever." It's going to be there forever. So that's how it goes. The attacker does the transaction. The infected machines will check it. They will check the blockchain transactions all the time, and then they will find what they want. If I insert a transaction that they are waiting for, they're going to find and we can sync the attack. In this case, is the DOS. I think that's quite feasible. Is it impossible to mitigate? Of course not. We can mitigate, but it's more difficult. And then I start thinking or wondering, your automated defenses are ready to detect new techniques. Do you have this illusion or customized techniques? No. If you say that you're ready, you're lying. There will never be someone ready for everything. That's impossible. So, how to mitigate? Making laws. Will bills resolve the problems for this type of threats? Do you think so? Do you believe so? Attackers, they're not concerned about laws. They don't respect the law. GDPR or the likes. What is the impact of GDPR in the leakage? They want GDPR to be approved. We see that in the underground. They're crazy about that because they're going to get loads of money. And that's a problem. They are waiting for it to happen. They're very happy about it. Big tax on the social media, not going to solve the problem. So, what I see that's going to work is being proactive. It's proactive threat hunting, is looking for the attacker in your network. Not looking at the screen, that's not going to work. You have to have technical knowledge to do so. Do you prefer to have a Chuck Norris with you or somebody who doesn't know how to use an HK? They have the gun, but they don't know how to use it. What do you prefer? We have to invest on capacity building.
Wouldn't it be better to have an armed Chuck Norris? Then it's the end of the world. Nobody's gonna mess with your network. So I'm not saying that you don't have to have it. You do need to have the defenses and the tools. But we need to know how to use it. We need to know how to mitigate. It's much better to have somebody who knows what to do and knows SIEM. That's my opinion. If I had a company, that's where I would invest. What about for detection? I need to rush here. In the case of malformed packets, if we stray from the protocol, for example, there's a filter from Wireshark called WXX Expert Group. If you look for malformed, you'll find all the damaged packets on your network. So let's say there's a HTTP packet and a cookie, and there's a huge cookie that just doesn't fit, or a DNS requisition with with shell information. Just a quick example here. I don't know if we have enough time, but I think it's worth showing you. In this case, we have a malformed packet ready. First, I'm going to show you the good packet. So this is a good package, a good DNS, healthy package. It's from the malware, but it's healthy. It's not breaking protocol. Now let me show you a bad packet, an unhealthy package that is called Thailand. So this is the second packet. Right off the bat, you can see that there's no arrow. It's going to work, but there's a shell here. An initial reverse shell. The original packet looks like this. It ends at the end of the domain. Not this one. There's something more. And this is the breach of protocol. And we can find that like this. For example, using this tool you all know called Wireshark. Every now and then check the malformed packets, because everything that is a malformed packet will show up here. It's good for mitigation purposes. This is a way to do it. Try to find anomalies with packets, because sometimes you need to filter to be able to use it. And also behavior review, behavior analysis. First we need to define metrics. What do we want to find? We want to find this or that packet. We want to find the guy who is sending the DNS information in the subdomain. That's a way to do it. So you need to find the methodology and an interesting algorithm for it. So that's why I say it's no use using SIEM, because it's not going to be able to change it. People are going to be thinking about this and implementing this. You can use the tool, of course, but you need to have people doing it. And you can provide training in a clean system, and then you're going to train them with the incorrect information. And you'll have to define a pattern and look for the pattern. Once you have it defined, you'll look for that pattern. If it's there, you'll find it. So you're going to try to find what's abnormal. Another thing that I like to talk about is the access policy. Security is reversed to comfortable. The more comfortable, less secure. The more security, the less comfortable it's going to be to have access to things. So each case is different. Each network is different. If you need a safe and secure network, I don't even install antivirus, because antivirus can be used to exfiltrate, as we've already seen. So watch out. Something else that's interesting to use is a whitelist. If you're in a corporate environment, why do we need certain things? You need to define protocols, ports, services, and programs that are going to be used in your company. Why does the user need to run a PowerShell in temp? This is serious. This is an indicator of compromise of the machine. Why do you need to run a binary inside a zip file? Just use GPO. For a Windows network, you have to apply these policies. So reduce your attack surface. That's important. So just to wrap up, this is my message I'd like to leave with you. If you don't know something, you won't recognize a threat when you find one. You need to know and research. You need to understand what the other guys are doing. So it's paramount to know the attack in order to defend. It's a symbiosis. Everybody has to work together for the company. So that's it. Thank you so much for being here. This is my contact information if you wish to talk, exchange information. Thank you. See you next time.